What's up creators, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this DaVinci Resolve tutorial for beginners. Now in this video we're going to cover the basics of a very powerful color grading tool called Color Warper. Now Color Warper is unique to DaVinci Resolve, so you're not going to find it in Premiere Pro, Final Cut or any other video editing software. This tool will allow us to control the hue, saturation and luminance of the tones on our clips, but doing it in a very precise and very controlled manner. So let's get to it. So creators, here I am in DaVinci Resolve. I notice that I'm in the color module over here. Now in DaVinci Resolve, we have a lot of tools that will allow us to color grade our video. So we have, for example, the color wheels over here that will allow us to control or add a tint into the shadows, into the midtones, highlights, or into the entirety of the image, very similar to color grading in Lightroom or Camera Raw in Photoshop. Then we can also use the RGB channels in the tone curve if you wish. We also have the classic creative curves over here to change the hue, the saturation and the luminance of our tones. But now we also have Color Warper over here. Now let me make this bigger so we can see what we're doing. So this is Color Warper and it's mainly composed of this first graphic, which will allow us to change the hue and saturation of our tones on our clips. But also over here we have these grids that will allow us to change the luminance as well, to darken certain colors or to brighten them up. So in essence, Color Warper can do the exact same things as what you can do in the creative curves, but what makes the difference is the ability to select certain areas on your image in a more precise manner. And you can do that with the tools over here. We're going to jump into them further along. So before I show you a couple of examples on how you can implement this tool to really enhance your color grading, first of all, we need to learn how it works. So right here, I'm in the hue and saturation graph, and it's mainly composed of this set of nodes and columns placed above or overlaid over the color wheel at the background, so we have a reference on which colors we're using. Now this blur or this white mark in the center of our graph, it's basically the representation of the colors on the clip that we have selected. So right here, as you can see in this clip, we have loads of greens and yellows, and therefore our graph is showing that over here. We also have a lot of blues in the sky and also in the mountains, and we have this spike in the blues and the aquas over here. So basically this graph, you can play around with it, you can move it along. So let's say that we want to change the greens. We can do it by selecting this point in the column over here. And if we draw this line all the way and drag it to the center of the image, you can see how the greens start to desaturate. So if you want to desaturate any tone in your image, you're going to drag the node towards the center. If you want to amp up the saturation or put it up, just go towards the borders and you extend the saturation of that tone. Now, you can also play around with the positioning of this node, and if you move it, for example, towards the reds, you're changing the hue of the original color into reds or into any color that you want in the color spectrum over here. Now, talking about color spectrums, right here we have HSB by default. I would advise you guys to select HSL, and this will affect the graph at the background and how your colors are being represented over here. And this is what I use for mainstream media, for example, for internet, for exporting for a client or for television. Now at the left over here, we have this little segment where we can add more nodes and add more columns to our graph. So we can go as high as 24 and 16. And why would you want to make your graph a lot more complex? It all depends on the complexity of your edit. So let's say that you're trying to edit the green in the tree over here. But as you can see, this green, it's a bit different to the one that we have over here in the grass. Now, if you have more nodes, you can basically select a different node for each of these greens. But on the other hand, if you have more of a basic graph over here, you can notice that most of the greens are composed in the same spectrum over here. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to color grade these two tones in a separate manner if your graph is a lot more simple. You need more nodes and more columns. Now over here at the right, we have our selection tools, and all of these are basically self-explanatory. You can just hover around with your mouse over them to see what they do. For example, you can invert your selection. This one, you can select the column. For example, if you select the node over here and then select column, it's going to select the respective column where this node is. Then you can select the ring, for example. You can go ahead and select all of them. One that you really need to learn, and the one that I'm just going to explain, is this one, which will make your selection or convert it into fixated pins, and basically will create these anchors. And as you can see, the nodes that I selected have changed and have this black circle around them, and this is indicating that they're fixed into place and they won't move even if you move the column in which they are. For example, I can move these nodes over here, but the ones that are fixed over here, will remain in place and isolating those colors so they're not affected by our edit. So this is the real value of this tool, that you can fix certain colors into place so they're not affected by your edit. Now, one last thing that I have to mention before we jump into the example images is that the behavior of the nodes will depend on the positioning. So nodes at the border of your graph, like these ones in the corners, will behave a lot differently from the ones in the center. So as you can see, if I move this point towards the center, the distance between the nodes from this one towards the point in the center are going to be moving gradually and gradually shrinking down. If I pull it towards up as well, the distance is going to be always relative and is not going to differ or change. This will create a very natural, seamless edit or transition between your colors. So in this manner, in this tool, we can create tone shifts or change the saturation in a very organic and natural manner, like in this case, and we're not going to see any spikes in saturation or any pixels in the colors being completely desaturated or overly saturated. Now, on the other hand, if I play around with one of the nodes in the center, you can notice how the distance between this one and the other nodes is a bit more irregular, and you're creating more of a dramatic scaling up in terms of saturation and in terms of hue or tone shifts over here. You can create very dramatic edits over here, but then again, if you create something like this, a lot of artifacts and aberrations start to appear. So as you can see, Color Warper gives us two different ways that you can change the hues or edit your color grade in a more of a softer manner or natural looking manner, or you can even use it in a more dramatic type of edit. Okay, now let's check out a simple example on how to use Color Warper. So here I have this shot of myself here in the studio, and the colors are great with the exception of the skin tones. Notice how my skin tones are a bit too saturated and a bit more towards the orangey side. So let's try to correct that. Now, a great way if you're starting out to know which node is going to move the tone that you want to edit is to hover around with your mouse over the color that you want to edit. As you can see, if I'm hovering over my skin, in the graph, a red cross starts to appear, and the cross is indicating the exact position of the hue in the graph. Then another point, another node, as you can see in the image, is being highlighted with this yellow square around it, and this is indicating the node that will control that skin tone. Now, the problem here is that if I drag, let's say, the reds or this entire column towards the negatives to reduce the saturation, and then a bit more towards the magentas, there my skin tones are a bit more natural, but notice that I also affected the magentas in my lips. So if I deactivate the node, this is before, the skin tones were a bit too orangey, now they're a bit too purple, and my lips, well, it looks like I have hyperthermia. It's a bit too purple. So the problem here is that we have a very simple graph over here with very few nodes and very few columns, and therefore we're not only affecting the skin tones with this column, but we're also affecting the magentas in my lips. So what we need to do right here is really make our graph a bit more complex. So I'm just going to reset it over here. I'm going to add more columns and more nodes. So I'm going to go with 16 and 16. And now if I hover around my skin, you can notice that my skin is basically placed, all of it, even in the darker areas, in this column over here. Now, if I hover around my lips, notice how most of the skin on my lips is in this other column right here. So by making our graph a bit more complex, we've basically separated the hue of my skin and the hue of my lips into different columns so we can edit them in an independent manner. So right here, for example, all these magentas will control all my lips, as you can see over here. I'm changing the hue. And all this column will control the skin tones, but not my lips. So this is a great starting point to continue our edit. So now I could go ahead and edit my entire column or select some of the nodes over here. You can select them just by clicking on them or by pressing down Command on your keyboard. You can add some nodes into your selection. Then with Control, press down on your keyboard, you're going to eliminate any points that you don't want on your selection. And also a great way to know what you're selecting with each node is to press Alt or Option on your keyboard and then press your selection, and your selection will be highlighted or masked away. Anything that isn't in color in your clip is something that you're not selecting. So, and then for example, if I select some of the nodes over here and I press Alt, you can see that I'm selecting my lips, just making sure that my lips are in this column over here. So what I would do is just a general change over here, just select the entire column from the border and just drag it towards the fresh line over here. And then just reduce a bit of the saturation, something around these lines. I'm happy with that. And right now I just changed the skin tone But notice how the color of the lips is natural. We remained with the natural magentas of my lips. And this is just a very simple way to start to color grade with this tool. Okay, so let's move on to a bit more of a complex edit where we use more of the tools. So right here in this clip of this Jeep in the desert, we have two types of vegetations. We have this one, the foliage more towards the ground is a bit more bright, a bit more dry. And then we have these trees which are a bit more vibrant and more towards the colder greens. So let's say that we want to change the ground vegetation more towards the vivid side. We want to change it more towards these greens. Of course, the simple way to do it is just to change this hue of the oranges and the yellows, move it towards the greener side and add some saturation. And there we have all these greens popping up in the foliage in the ground. But the problem is that we also change the greens of the tree over here. We can see before and now it looks basically with an artificial type of green, which isn't what we want. So we need to isolate the green in the tree. Now to isolate the green in the tree is going to be a bit more difficult compared to the skin tones because, well, it's still green and it's still yellow. So it's going to be in the same column as the greens in the vegetation in the ground. So it's going to be a bit more difficult to the previous edit. What we need to do, first of all, is add more complexity into our grade over here. And first of all, let's check out with our mouse hovering over the colors to see where the ground vegetation is. So as you can see, we can see these few nodes over here in this column. Basically, this column will control all the foliage in the ground and these nodes around this area, for example. Then we're going to hover around the green on the tree and we can see which nodes will control this area. And I'm just hovering around, the arrow is jumping around between the area, between these nodes, all these 6 nodes over here, and these other ones over here. So this is the area that we want to protect. So what we're going to do is isolate that area, fix all those nodes into place so we're not affecting the green in the tree when we're moving around the greens in the grass. So again, I'm just going to select all of these with command press down. I'm going to continue to add points into the selection. And then I'm going to go into my tools and I'm going to use this tool over here, which is convert selections to pin. Now all these 9 nodes have this black ring around them, and this is indicating that they're fixed in place and they won't be affected by any movements. Now we can go once again and find the nodes that will control the ground vegetation over here, which are these ones. These 2 over here, I'm just going to pull them up into terms of saturation towards the borders. As you can see, they're a lot more saturated. And then I'm just going to drag it towards the greens lower in our graph over here. Not too much, but something around these lines. And just like that, we've changed the hue of the greens in the vegetation in the ground without affecting the greens in the tree. So this is where the real value of Color Warper lies, the ability to create a complex graph where you can isolate specific gammas and edit them completely independently from the other hues in the surrounding. This is something that no other tool can do. Okay, so that's it for hue and saturation. Now let's move up to the other half of this tool, which will allow us to change the luminance of our tones over here. So right here, we have 2 grids over here and we can change between them just by clicking on this little button over here. And which grid you use will depend on the tone that you're trying to change. So right here at the bottom, you can change the tones. It all depends on which tone you're trying to darken and which tone you're trying to highlight. So for example, let's say that I want to change the luminance of the greens over here. I can pull down the yellows over here, and towards the negatives is darker, towards the positives obviously it's brighter. So it works in a very similar manner to the previous graph. You can also hover around your image to see where your exposure is. For example, we can see that this line over here in gray is our sky. This is the brightest part, and then over here is the darkest part. So this is basically the exposure of our sky. So let's say as an example that I want to make my sky have the same brightness throughout the entire clip. So over here at the left, we have darker skies, and at the right, obviously because the sun is in that direction, it's brighter. But let's say, just for this purpose of this example, that we want to make the sky evenly lit. So for that, what I want to do is just darken this side. Now the problem here is that, as you can see in the graph, we have our cross, and then the node that will control this bright spot over here is the same one that will control the dark spot in the other side of the sky. So again, what I need to do is make this graph a lot more complex. So I'm just going to add more nodes. Around 16 is going to be enough. And now we can go ahead and hover around our image once again. And as you can see, now we have this top node that will control the bright parts. And then we have this node over here will control the lowest points. So now we have a separation on which nodes will control each part of our exposure. Now logic will tell us to just select the point that will control the bright parts and just drag it into the position of the dark point over here. Now the problem is, as you can see, that my entire graph is being changed. We're also darkening the yellows and darkening all the other blues. So I'm just going to reset this. And what we want to do is isolate this section of our graph. Now to isolate this area of the image, we could use the pins to lock nodes into place like we did in the previous examples. But in this case, I'm just going to choose to use auto lock. Now auto lock is this function over here. I'm just going to activate it. And down here, this tool will allow us to block off any movement aside from the area that we determine it. So for example, we're going to select 2 points and we're going to select in shape of grid. So we're going to basically lock off anything beyond the 2 points in the top direction, lower direction, left and right. And as you can see, nothing aside from this quadrant is moving around. So this is a great option over here. We can also select more points if you wish. You can select them in vertical manner. So basically only points in the vertical axis are going to move. So 2 points towards the right, 2 points towards the left. Anything aside from that is not going to move. And then we can select it in horizontal manner. So anything lower than the 2 points towards the bottom or higher from the 2 points from the top is not going to move around. So this is a great way to isolate certain sections of your graph. So I'm just going to select 3 points over here and the grid formation, and I'm just going to select this point that will control, as you can see, the bright parts of our sky. I'm going to drag it all the way down so it matches the dark portion of our sky over here, and we're creating a very uniform exposure, something around these lines. Now, as you can see, because we created this auto lock, we're basically limiting our edit into this part of the graph, so we're not affected any other hues in our image, changing the brightness or making them darker. So there you have it, guys. Color Warper is a very powerful tool, and I know that the examples that I used in this video are only for color correction, but you can use it to create more dramatic effects. So let's say that the main subject in your interview has a shirt color that you don't like, you can obviously change it with this tool as well. So if you found this video helpful, can you please give it a like and subscribe, all those things. And if you want to watch more video editing tutorials, check out the playlist over here. If you want to support me by buying my presets and LUTs so you can edit in a faster manner, check out my link over here. And if you want to go above and beyond and support me through Patreon, I recently opened it, link down here. I'll be very thankful if you can support me in that manner so I can continue to do videos for you guys for the foreseeable future. If you can't, don't worry guys, just like the video. I'm Tony Fuentes. Cheers to all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.